have the energy to restart again. Then you have the whole question of doing by example, something which Mahatma Gandhi was a great exponent of in India, of doing things oneself before you ask other people to do it. And I find it very interesting here, Sudhin, that you have in this very room Confucius on this side and Mahatma Gandhi there. I think it is certainly, you haven't done it just for today, it's been there, and I think it's very appropriate because both these people believe in doing things by example. There's a story of Mahatma Gandhi who a small boy came to him and his mother brought the small boy to Mahatma Gandhi and said, please Bapu, you speak to this young boy, he's a diabetic but he loves sweets, so he doesn't stop eating sweets, and if you tell him, he'll do it. When I tell him, he's not doing it. And Mahatma Gandhi said, come back after 2 weeks. And so she went away with the boy, and then she came back after 2 weeks. And then Mahatma Gandhi told the boy, now young man, stop eating sweets. So the boy nodded and said, okay. Then the mother said, look, I don't understand. Why have you waited 2 weeks to tell him this? You could have told him 2 weeks ago. And Mahatma Gandhi said, I could not give him an instruction which I was not sure I can do myself. So for 2 weeks I stopped eating sugar before I could tell him not to eat sugar. So this is by the side, but this resounds very clearly and closely with Confucius' own way of thinking. And I give this example because, as Sudhindra said, in the history of India and China's connectivity, very often we find that this 1% overshadows the 99%. But there are a lot of these things, if you go into psychology and the way people are brought up and grow up, which are very, very similar. And there's a lot of similarity between Gandhi's views and conduct and Confucius's views. Finally, and this is finally for this particular section, in how to change human behavior, the very interesting concept of remonstration. Remonstration means that if somebody doesn't agree with you in doing something, you remonstrate with them. But remonstration is unlike the Western concept of debate or rational argument. It's not just rational argument. Remonstration also means there is an element of sympathy. There is an element of trying to understand the other person's point of view. It's not just a cold debate. So there is a very great distinction between the Confucian concept of remonstration and the Athenian or Western parliamentary concept of rational left debate from the logical left brain. I'm not going to bring in what happens in our own assemblies and parliament as an example here. So this question of remonstration as a way to resolve difficulties is also a very important aspect. So with all these, what does it say about Chinese government and governance today? And this is the last piece I'm going to talk about, and then say a few words about the implications for India. Now the Chinese government today, and I'm coming to the modern era, the Communist Party of China, the very unique kind of organization, which, as I said, is quasi-Confucian, because it has made study and reflection of itself and the society a very important part. The party school in Beijing, which I have visited a few times, is engaged in very, very careful study of what is happening everywhere in the world. And the Chinese Communist Party has come to the same conclusion as the Western scholars in one way, that this system that they have got cannot go on. That is, conclusion is the same. But the two outcomes which the Westerners say, A, collapse, and B, Western democracy, those two alternatives, is certainly not what the Communist Party of China says is going to be the outcome. But they agree that what is happening today is not a highly desirable situation. And what is their analysis of what is happening today? They feel that post Deng Xiaoping, the liberalization has today led to a state where there is a lot in China which is driven by pure monetary greed, which is driven by corruption, which is driven by a lot of feelings of making money while the sun is shining, and this is leading to a lot of problems. Is leading to a lot of divergences between rural and urban, income disparities, social disparities. It is leading to a climate of what is called a moral vacuum. And this is something which is recognized. And in the 16th Party Congress in 2002, when the Communist Party got together and they made their plan for the next 5 years, amongst the various objectives they set in political, economic and other terms, there was one very strange one, which sounds very strange coming from a Communist Party. And this was, and I quote, the establishment of a spiritual civilization. This sounds really funny, isn't it? But what they meant was that because all this is going on and they saw signs of this, one of the steps to go back and correct the situation is to restore a sense of values and a sense of morality in this situation that is happening. And this is a surprising kind of piece of self-analysis, and but anyway it was recorded and set out as a clear goal. And then they said, okay, how do we do this? If we have got all these problems we have analyzed of corruption and pure capitalist development and disparities, how do we really correct it? The party then studied all the other countries of the world, the key countries, to find out what is the best way. They studied in practice 4 sets of countries. First, the Western democracies. Second, the Scandinavian social democracies. Thirdly, the developing country democracies like India, Indonesia, Brazil and so on. And fourthly, the East Asian democracies like Korea, Japan, Singapore and so on. Now, the conclusion they came to is that, and the objective of the study was, where should China focus its learning? Should learn from which of these 4 sets of countries should China learn from to turn away from this set of problems that they foresaw? The Western democracies, and by that time, of course, and most recently, the financial crisis of the West had happened and they were all struggling with the aftermath of that. So, the conclusion with regard to the Western democracies is somewhat pessimistic from the Chinese point of view. That the conclusion is that the Western democracies are democracies in name, but they are actually oligarchies which are run by the financial powers, that the market the full sway of the market is not able to kind of limit itself, to stop creating chaos from time to time. Twice in the last 100 years there has been a financial collapse.